Welcome to this daily PBJ devotional. Read 1 Kings 14, Joel 3, and 1 Peter 2. This devotional is about 1 Kings 14. At that time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, became ill. And Jeroboam said to his wife, "Now get up, disguise yourself, so they will not recognize you as my wife, and go to Shiloh, for Ahijah the prophet is there. It was he who spoke about my kingship over this people. Take with you 10 loaves of bread, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what will become of the boy." Jeroboam's wife did as instructed. She arose and went to Shiloh and arrived at Ahijah's house. Now Ahijah could not see, for his eyes were dim because of his age. But the Lord had said to Ahijah, "Behold, the wife of Jeroboam is coming to ask you about her son, for he is ill. You are to say such and such to her, because when she arrives, she will be disguised." So when Ahijah heard the sound of her feet entering the door, he said, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why are you disguised? For I have been sent to you with bad news. Go, tell Jeroboam that this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I raised you up from among the people and appointed you ruler over my people Israel. I tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it to you. But you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commandments and followed me with all his heart, doing only what was right in my eyes. You have done more evil than all who came before you. You have proceeded to make for yourself other gods and molten images to provoke me, and you have flung me behind your back. Because of all this, behold, I am bringing disaster on the house of Jeroboam. I will cut off from Jeroboam every male, both slave and free, in Israel. I will burn up the house of Jeroboam as one burns up dung until it is gone. Anyone belonging to Jeroboam who dies in the city will be eaten by dogs, and anyone who dies in the field will be eaten by the birds of the air, for the Lord has spoken. As for you, get up and go home. When your feet enter the city, the child will die. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him, for this is the only one belonging to Jeroboam who will receive a proper burial, because only in him has the Lord, the God of Israel, found any good in the house of Jeroboam. Moreover, the Lord will raise up for himself a king over Israel, who will cut off the house of Jeroboam. This is the day, yes, even today. For the Lord will strike Israel as a reed is shaken in the water. He will uproot Israel from this good land that he gave to their fathers, and he will scatter them beyond the Euphrates, because they have made their Asherah poles, provoking the Lord to anger. So he will give Israel over on account of the sins Jeroboam has committed, and has caused Israel to commit. Then Jeroboam's wife got up and departed for Tirzah, and as soon as she stepped over the threshold of the house, the boy died. And they buried him, and all Israel mourned for him, according to the word that the Lord had spoken through his servant Ahijah the prophet. As for the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, how he waged war and how he reigned, they are indeed written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. And the length of Jeroboam's reign was 22 years, and he rested with his fathers, and his son Nadab reigned in his place. Meanwhile, Rehoboam, son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. He was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city the Lord had chosen from all the tribes of Israel in which to put his name. His mother's name was Naamah the Ammonite. And Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord, and by the sins they committed, they provoked him to jealous anger more than all their fathers had done. They also built for themselves high places, sacred pillars, and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every green tree. There were even male shrine prostitutes in the land. They imitated all the abominations of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. In the 5th year of Rehoboam's reign, Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Jerusalem. He seized the treasures of the house of the Lord and of the royal palace. He took everything, including all the gold shields that Solomon had made. Then King Rehoboam made bronze shields in their place, and committed them to the care of the captains of the guard on duty at the entrance to the royal palace. And whenever the king entered the house of the Lord, the guards would bear the shields, and later they would return them to the guard room. As for the rest of the acts of Rehoboam, along with all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? There was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam throughout their days, and Rehoboam rested with his fathers, and was buried with them in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah the Ammonite, and his son Abijam reigned in his place. This is God's word. Isn't it surprising how utilitarian Jeroboam was about matters of faith and worship? When he was anointed king, Jeroboam was willing to believe the Lord, as we saw in chapter 11, verses 26 through 39, chapter 12, verses 2 and 3, and chapter 12, verses 12 through 15. But after the Lord's word was completely fulfilled, and he was made king, he goes out and makes 2 golden calves and said, and this is in chapter 12, verses 28 and 29, but Jeroboam said, "It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." One he set up in Bethel, and the other in Dan. And again, that's in chapter 12, verses 28 and 29. Now that his son, his heir, was sick here in chapter 14, Jeroboam wanted to know the Lord's will again. When he wanted to know if his son would be okay, Jeroboam sent his wife to the very prophet who had anointed him, whose word was fulfilled completely. We saw that in verses 2 through 5. Comically, he even told his wife to disguise herself in verse 2b, as if the Lord would not reveal who she was, but would reveal what would happen to his son without revealing who she was. Jeroboam was all about knowing God's will when it had to do with his life and his prosperity. When the Lord's word was against him, however, he wanted to seize the Lord's prophet, as we saw in chapter 13, verse 4, presumably to harm him. God's word, God's truth, was important at key moments in Jeroboam's life. The rest of the time, however, his golden calves were more than good enough. The true God was like a spare tire to the ancient king of Israel. Now, you never think about your spare tire until one of your regular tires goes flat. Then you hope the spare tire still has some air in it, enough to bail you out of being stuck and stranded. And that's how Jeroboam treated the God of his people Israel. What was fact for Jeroboam can easily be a temptation for us. Namely, to treat God like a spare tire. We all tend to treat God this way ourselves at times. When our future is at stake, we want to know what God's word says. But when everything is good for us, we're tempted to give God as much consideration as we give to the spare tire in normal driving conditions. Do your prayer habits shrivel and dry up until the next crisis hits? Do you neglect God's word until you are afraid, and then you crave knowing what the will of God is? Because we're fallen, the spare tire theology that Jeroboam had is easy for us to slouch into. May God give us a heart like David, who, though sinful himself, longed to know and love God throughout his life, and not just in times of trouble. If you thought this devotional was helpful to your spiritual life, let me encourage you to sign up by email to receive them every day. Go to dailypbj.com/subscribe. And please support me financially if you've been consuming these devotionals and they have been helping you. You can help me make more content like this and perhaps reach others with the same information, the same truth. And so if you can do that, go to dailypbj.com/support and choose one of the monthly tiers of support that I offer there. Please share this with someone else, and I'll see you next time. May God bless you. Hope you have a great day today.